Okay.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Apologies for that. So, Prebashini and myself, we're from Empowerlogic. We are one of the first accredited agencies that was accredited with SANAS to verify and issue BEE certificates. We ourselves are level 2 BEE rating agency with 51% Black ownership, and we work with multiple small or medium to large and listed entities as our clients. And we, in between the different groups and leadership, we have vast experience with different structures and different companies over various sectors from a BEE perspective. So today we'll go through what is BEE, how can it be used as a business strategy, and also how do we look how do we involve communities and develop everybody with the various elements in the scorecard. So myself, I'm Marissa Smith. I have about 10 years experience within the BEE industry. 3 years prior worked on the implementing side of BEE and strategy, and then for 7 years on the verification side. So I'm also a technical signatory at Empowerlogic. In Prebashini, I'll hand over to you for introduction.
Okay, thank you, Marissa. So I'm Prebashini Govender. I'm a verification manager and technical signatory at Empowerlogic. I have close to 14 years experience in triple BEE and verification. And to that, I was in the audit, financial audit field as well. I've got 5 years experience in financial audit. Okay. I'll hand back over to Marissa, who will continue.
Okay. So the aim of today, what we want to leave you with is we want to just firstly explain BEE, what it's about, and also just touch on various strategies, legislation that underpins BEE. So it's not just BEE as itself, it's not an island on its own. It does work and it is connected to various other acts. And then once you're able to understand how BEE works, what the elements are, what are we measuring, then use those tools to implement and identify a specific business strategy and align your strategies with BEE so that it works for you and your business. Okay, so what is BEE? BEE is an act that was implemented by government to address the access for previous disadvantaged groups to the mainstream economy. So it just assists the historical imbalance of the country. So that's why it was implemented. So so it's just basically to make the playing field even for all backgrounds, all different economic groups in South Africa, and also to enhance transformation in various fields that was identified by government, looking at the different stats and the different reporting where transformation is required within the business sphere and sector. Okay. So why BEE? Why do we want to be BEE compliant, and what is the advantages of being compliant? So the number one is market access. So we always say BEE should always be business first and then BEE. So in order for you to open up doors and be competitive within the market, it is a rough economy in the market at the moment. So it's good to have that competitive advantage is at the end of the day, compared to your competitors, pricing is the same, experience is the same, then BEE can be a flipping factor. And also, if you look at the various Act, the Preferential Procurement Act, other big corporate companies align to the Preferential Procurement Act and also have their own policies where they have certain requirements for their suppliers to be onboarded or to procure from them, and also tender requirements. So that's definitely market access and opening up new opportunities. So that's also in line with the competitive advantage. also links to the market access. It does give you that competitive advantage. Then when we look at employment equity and employee engagement, it also helps to have a diverse workforce that can also have different insights and also help with strategic planning that have different backgrounds and different views. And that will also have you motivate the workforce because you have buy-in from various groups within the business, and that will obviously at the end of the day also improve performance and employee satisfaction in the workplace. Then there's also financial incentives. So there are various tax benefits and mandated funding that is available. The different areas in the scorecard that we'll then go through now on specifically skills development. There are tax deductions that is available if the programs are implemented correctly. That can also then benefit the company to make it more profitable and also help implement these various strategies to cover some of those costs. Then also what it is, BBEE is also complies to good corporate governance. So that is to make it's basically for the company to invest in its community where it operates, and not just where money is generated, but to plow back and take hands with various stakeholders to help with the promotion of good corporate governance and business compliance with the various acts. Okay, so BBEE, it's not just one size fits all. So we understand different industries have different requirements and they operate in different ways. So therefore, we have the generic codes of good practice that these slides are built around or focused on, but that will say it's the blueprint of BBEE. But we have also sector codes, separate sectors that came together and formed their specific charter councils to say that we can't conform, or it's difficult to align with the generic codes. Our business is not set up in that specific ways. We have identified other areas that we would like to transform, or that we need transformation on and need to be measured on. So there are a few subsector codes. So agriculture, we have agriculture, we have the financial sector council, the financial sector FSC, information and communication technologies, property sector, tourism sector, transport sector. We have forest sector, and now newly gazetted the legal sector. We have defense, construction, and then marketing, advertising, and communication. Example of how the different entities works on the generic scorecard. We measure procurement from various compliant companies, compliant entities. And if you look at the property sector, they don't procure, the nature of their business, there's not a lot of procurement that takes place within that sector. So therefore, the council came together, they aligned their different scorecards, and they now make adjustments for how that specific industry trades. Okay. Then just from a bird's eye view, how we look at BBEE, from if you take Maslow's hierarchy, just your basic needs. So what we've tried to do is just to plot the various elements and just see the bigger picture, what BBEE can do and what it should be, how it should be implemented. So if we go to socioeconomic development, so that we call, well, we refer to as indirect empowerment, but that element can be used to breach the poverty barrier for various communities. That can be either schooling, community development, just to address those basic needs either for the children or the community, so they are able to upskill and then break the skills barrier. That then enrolls into either the skill development, where we then train unemployed people or employed community people. And that can assist either in your own organization or other related industries wherever you do operate or do business. Then from we've now we covered the basic skills. We then go to either these employees can be absorbed within the business, or they can decide to go the entrepreneurial route and create their own businesses. So either by creating their own businesses, and then when we look at the BEE scorecard, how that fits in is that we look at a potential pipeline for procurement. So that is where you then either support those businesses, give them either the necessary skills or money or loans in order to help them to be at a specific standard that you require them in order to procure from them. And then there's other opportunities if it's not the entrepreneurial route. So it's either management, employment equity, employing those people that you've upskilled, or the other direct empowerment would be then ownership. So either by becoming shareholding or be part of the specific trust that's available. So that is just like a flip side of how the elephants fit into daily life. Then when we look at the ripple effects of BEE, so BEE is an act. It's not compulsory for clients to be compliant. However, it is for government, it is compulsory to be compliant and to adhere to the act. So how then we set it, how it is the ripple effect. So government is one of the biggest procurers in the country, and therefore also governed by the Procurement Act. We also have the various state-owned enterprises, which also has to adhere to and procure from compliant suppliers. If you are also a supplier to one of those entities, then they would require you to be compliant. And in order for you to be compliant, you need your suppliers to be compliant. So that is the ripple effect of BEE. I'll then hand over to Prebashini that will take over from here.
Thank you, Marissa. Yeah, on my side. So we're going to talk about the BBEE scorecard now. So there are various elements that make up the BBEE scorecard. And in terms of BEE, the main factor we are measuring is basically Black individuals, again, relating to Black companies, etc. So when we talk about Black, what do we mean in terms of the BBEE? Black is specifically defined. It is what we mean or refer to when we refer to Black people or Black owned. We are talking about African, colored Indians and South African Chinese who are citizens of South Africa by birth or descent, or became citizens by naturalization. They have to have been naturalized before April 1994. If they were after 1994, then it would have mean that they should have been entitled to be naturalized before 1994 April, but they could not be due to apartheid reasons. Okay. So the BBEE scorecard is made up of various elements, as I've indicated. As Marissa has mentioned previously, BEE is not an island on its own. Okay, so there are various other acts that a company needs to comply with in order to be maintaining their compliance, as well as to be seen and practicing as good corporate governance. Okay, so the elements are equity ownership. This is 25 points and contributes to 23% of the scorecard. So equity ownership is who owns the business. These are your shareholders. And one of the governing acts that governs ownership is Companies Act. So you have to comply with the Companies Act, and that impacts how BEE is then measured as well in terms of equity ownership. The next element, we have management control, which are broken down to two sub-elements, your board of directors and exco committee, and then your employment equity. So management control as a whole is 19 points and 17% of the entire BBEE scorecard. Other acts that govern this or is linked is basically important for management control is your Employment Equity Act and your King Code. So you have to be meeting the requirements of the Employment Equity Act. So if you, depending on what your size of your company is, you will then either be required to be submitting to the Department of Labor your EA2, EA4. Okay, and this is one of the requirements in order for you to actually obtain points in BBEE for management control. So as you can see, again, it's not an island on its own. You have to be compliant with all the relevant acts that govern companies in order to be then compliant with BBEE. Okay. Then skills development. This is 20 points, and this contributes 18% of the entire scorecard. So in order to be compliant here, you'd have to also comply with the Skills Development Act, the Skills Development Levies Act. So skills development is the training and education of employees as well as unemployed people. In order to be compliant with the Skills Development Act and Skills Development Levies Act, this is dependent on basically your salary threshold, number of employees that you have in your business. And to be compliant, you need to be submitting your EMP 201s to SARS. You need to be submitting your workplace skills plan, your ATR report, your pivotal training report to the relevant CETAs. Without all of being compliant with those acts, you also cannot be compliant with BEE. So then again, showing how all these acts are interwoven with each other. We then have priority element of enterprise and supply development, which is 38% of the entire scorecard. Okay, this is broken down into 3 sub-elements. We have your preferential procurement. This is who are the business suppliers. We have supply development. This is an enterprise development. So these 2 sub-elements is where you as the company will be assisting smaller Black-owned companies by providing some sort of support to them. Enterprise development will be your non-suppliers. Okay, and then we have the last element is your socioeconomic development, which contributes to 5% of the entire scorecard. Okay, so as you can see, in each element, we have the various acts which are linked to BEE. And so it definitely shows that it is not an island on its own. Okay, we can go to the next one. Okay, so in BBEE, we have different classifications where we classify entities according to their to the turnover that they earn. Okay, so there are various thresholds. So for an entity that earns less than 10 million Rand, they are considered an EME. This is an exempt micro enterprise. Okay. We have then the next category, which is your qualifying small enterprise, QSEs. These are entities who have turnover of more than 10 million but less than 50 million. And then we have your large or generic enterprise, which these entities have turnover of more than 50 million. Okay, so these are the 3 different categories that will be referred to throughout in terms of BBEE. So depending which category you fall into, that determines what are the requirements in terms of your rating and what either documents you need to present to show that you are compliant or that you have a BEE certificate. So for an EME, these entities will only be measured on ownership and they will can only issue affidavits. So if you're 100% Black owned, you will be a level 1. If you are less than 51% Black, less than 100% but more than 51% Black owned, you are level 2. And if you're less than 51%, you are level 4. So basically here it helps the smaller companies where you don't have to go through a full verification. All you need to do is issue affidavits. Okay, there are specific affidavits which you can obtain on the DTI website for this. Then we have the QSEs. Your QSEs, if a QSE is 100% Black owned, they will need to issue an affidavit and they'll be a level 1. If they are between 100 and 51% Black owned, then they will be a level 2 and they will also only need to issue an affidavit. Anything less than 51% Black owned, they will need to go through a full verification and be rated on the elements on the previous slide that I've been through. Okay, and then we have all large entities. These entities will have to go through a full verification and be measured on all the elements as indicated previously. We go into the next slide. Okay, so let's go into the elements and discuss the elements. Okay, so the first element we mentioned is equity ownership. So this is what we call a priority element. There are 3 priority elements. On these elements, there's certain prerequisites, sub-minimums that need to be met to avoid you being discounted overall. So ownership, this is looking at who are the shareholders of the business, who owns the equity of the business. There are different vehicles of ownership. We have your individual ownership, where you have shares held by individuals, shares held by trusts. They can be broad-based trusts or ESOP trusts, etc. We have companies that can be shareholders. We have a private equity fund that can be shareholders. And then there's certain other calculation options available in terms of the BBEE codes that then can allow you to earn ownership points. These transactions, to name them, are called your sale of assets, your equity equivalents, and mandated investments. So as you can see, you don't have to give away, or actually, as people think, you have to give away ownership in your business in order to earn some BBEE points or get recognition for BBEE. As you can see, there are other forms of obtaining ownership without actually giving away your business or actually giving away control. So there are ways to implement a BBEE equity ownership deal in order to earn these points. Also very important just to be aware of, always keep in mind that it has to always be a business decision or strategic decision, and not just a tick box in order to get BBEE points. Okay, so you should be doing what is good for your business, but you have various forms of ownership deals in order to do that. There's different types of entities. So you don't just have one type of entity that is being rated. You have a trust, you have sole proprietors, you have cooperatives, closed corporations, and you have companies, both private and public companies as defined in the Companies Act. The structure of all these companies are all governed by the Companies Act, again, indicating that you have to be compliant with your other requirements, which is also linked to BBEE. Yeah. If we go into the next element, we have management control. Okay, this is made up of your employment equity and your board of directors and other executive management. So board of directors and other executive management is looking at who is managing the business, who is responsible for the decision making and the strategic decision and strategic direction of the business. That will be your executives. Then we look at who is working in the business. So basically your staff. So that is your employment equity. Skills development. This is basically the training of both your employees and unemployed people. So unemployed people could mean it doesn't have to be your own employees. It can be employees that work at other companies. It can be actual unemployed people. It could be students studying at universities, etc. So is your business sponsoring any of the following for both employees or unemployees? So skills development comes in various forms. You can get internal training, where you provide on-the-job training, informal training for your employees, or as well as any structured formal training, any provision of bursaries to both employees as well as unemployed people, or people working at other entities. We have practical skills training. This is basically all linked to your workplace skills plan and your pivotal training parts. So any learnerships, apprenticeships that you have in place. On the job training can also be for your new employees that start working at your business. Any informal training courses that employees are sent on, both could be online courses, could be in-person courses, could be conferences, any professional development, any registration that individuals are required to be registered with professional bodies. They need to then study in order to get that professional registration. All that is considered skills development. Okay, so it can be structured and it's all linked to your WSP. So it's all aligned in the investment of your employees and as well investment in training unemployed people. So by training people, investing in your employees, you then invest in your business, which helps your business to grow. Because if your employees are skilled, you can obviously perform a better service of what you're providing, or provide better products, which will then increase to a higher customer base eventually. Okay. There's also other tax incentives that you can obtain when you come to skills training, like your tax deductions under Section 12H, etc. So that also everything, there is some assistance. There are assistance in helping the training and investment of your employees. Okay. Okay, then I'll hand over to Marissa. Okay, so she'll continue with the remaining elements of the scorecard.
Thank you, Prebashini. Okay, so the remaining elements of the scorecard is preferential procurement. This is the backbone of what the ultimate end result of your BEE scorecard, BEE verification, all strategies that's been implemented then comes down or boils down to your actual BEE level, the benefit that you can give your clients. So procurement it's the elements called enterprise and supply development. We look at preferential procurement. So that is me as a measured entity. Who do I buy from? Supply development, that is supporting my current Black-owned EME or QSE in my current supply chain. And then we have enterprise development, which then we look at entities that's not yet in my supply chain, but I would like to earmark them to form part of my supply chain. So there are the different entities we've touched on, Prebashini touched on earlier. So we have, it's based on the turnover revenue or the income bracket, and then Black-owned, these are determined by their shareholding. So EME and QSEs, those are the qualifying criteria. So how do we get to an actual level? So if you're EME exempted micro enterprise, you automatically qualify for certain levels, level 1, 2, and 4. If your turnover bracket increases or the business was an EME, it's now a QSE or moved from a QSE to a generic. These points, your B level, it's determined by the points brackets that we have on the qualifying matrix. So a level 1 company has, if it's more than in excess of 100 points. So this is what it boils down to in your B scorecard then. We call it the weighted spend. So if one of your customers purchase from you, then the amount that they spend with you can be enhanced by 135% in their own rating scorecard, in their own procurement scorecard. If you're non-compliant, then if they get rated, you're not, whatever they do spend with you won't count towards their BEE scorecard, and that would disadvantage them from procuring from you. So there's no benefit for them other than normal business practice service being provided, and it can have a negative impact on their scorecard. So that's the ripple effect that I've mentioned earlier. The whole pipeline of procurement links to your actual scorecard. Then when we go to enterprise and supply development, so this is where you have various, so what you'd actually want to do, what companies, the strategy you're thinking should be is that we want to look and develop enterprises. So small, medium, large enterprises, or just SMMEs in this case for generic codes, is to identify companies that can, in the community, within your sector, that you would like to support, you like to develop, but they're not there yet. if you have certain standards that they would need to adhere to or develop. If we take, let's say construction, for instance, for 10, I want to do a tender, I need to subcontract to SMMEs, but I've identified a company that do, however, need some support and guidance and maybe cash flow. So for enterprise development, I've identified them. You'd want to develop them either by looking whatever needs they require, if it's a business strategy needs, if it's cash flow, do they not have the right equipment, then these companies can assist them with that. And then from there on, graduate them to become a supplier to your business, and then ultimately then procure from them. And that could have a prosperous relationship, which at the end of the day then allows for that company that was a small startup grow into becoming a generic, and then follow the same process with a different company. So that's the aim, the bigger picture, how transformation is available or can be implemented. So there are also different funding models or different funding initiatives. That's not necessarily just, let's say, major big corporate companies or even large entities that need to do enterprise and supply development. There's also funding available via the different NEF, the Department of Small Business Development, the Department of CEDA, so Small Enterprise Development Agencies, that these Black-owned SMMEs, or even some of these funds look at ownership that is greater than 25%. So it just depends on what the specific requirement is for these various funds that is available for small, medium enterprises to apply for funding either by loans or grants to grow their business. We also there's also funding, these are also another, so there's the Women's Fund that specifically focuses on developing women-owned companies. Then we also have the Black Industrial Scheme Fund. And then there's also private sectors that have their various funds set up that companies can apply for in order to achieve either funding, or if it's either training or business development. It depends on what the actual need is of that company. So what I've mentioned prior is just to put it in a practical form into the scorecard, if we look at these bonus points available for enterprise and supply development. So this is where it comes to graduation. So the scenario I've explained is linked to graduation. So it's where you've looked and provide assistance to a Black-owned company. The result is for them to grow their capacity and then ultimately then be part of your supply chain. And as part of the supply chain growth assistance, it not only benefits companies or SMMEs, it also helps create and address job creation or unemployment, where it allows them to grow capacity to employ new people in order to then develop them, grow them, give them the necessary skills and experiences in that community to become a large generic company, and then also follow the same processes. So yeah, so that is job creation. We call it bonus points for job creation in the scorecard. So yeah, there is everything that we do, we can link it to some of transformation in procurement, enterprise and supply development. And then just the local economy, not just your own company, just procuring from somebody, it also develops that local economy to go and develop the other formal or informal businesses. Okay, so we'll go to the last element, which is socioeconomic development. So for these beneficial categories, we'll look at the broader community and not just a specific company. So the socioeconomic development is 5 points on the scorecard. It contributes 5% to the overall scorecard. And this is monetary or non-monetary contributions to initiatives and to insist those beneficiaries to become financially self-sustainable. So this is basically just saying that whatever support we do give either communities, the schools, what areas has been identified in your company that you would like to assist the community with. It's very important for them to equip them to become self-sustainable and have those initiatives become income generating for them. So we'll look at different type of strategies that can be done, or different type of projects that can be done under socioeconomic development. So we look at sustainable livelihood initiatives that has limit access to the economy. So that's either giving people the necessary skill to create their own businesses, do their own either crafts, or just give them the actual skill to generate their own income. We can support various schooling initiatives or educational programs. So that's either by resources, material to primary, secondary, and tertiary school, as well as bursaries. Just very important that we can't double claim. So whatever initiatives you want to do for bursaries under skills development, we can't double claim it under socioeconomic development, but they can be separate initiatives. Then they are also supporting in arts, cultural, or sporting events development programs that can also assist the community and giving them the necessary skills to go and implement, start their own business, or just plow back in the community for other people to grow, or other companies to prosper. So just to wrap it up, in a practical example, we'll have Lucas's journey. So from this point of view, Lucas is our beneficiary under socioeconomic development, that the specific entity contributed computers or a laptop for his science and math center. Then from there on, he was able to apply for a degree in IT, which can be funded or was funded as a bursary under skills development. Then Lucas decided to not go the employee route. He wanted to become an entrepreneur, and he started his own business. And then he also employed people to work for him, which then links to job creation. And then from there on became a supplier, developed to procuring from him, and also he's now part of the supplier development program. So yeah, so this is just a practical example of how you can invest time with somebody from socioeconomic, from ECD up until procuring from them and growing their own business. And he might then become or grow to become a generic company, and then it's able to assist other people in the community. Okay, so yeah, so just as us in Empowerlogic, we do BBEE verifications, we do interim verifications. If maybe half year people want to see where they are, what initiative what spend they still need to do. We can do assessments, so pre-implementation assessments, pre-implementation reviews. If it's a strategy that you think wants to be implemented or you've looked at, then we can just ensure that it is aligned with the requirements set out in the code. We also do BBEE training. We can do opinions on proposed transactions. We can do individual elements like skills development, for instance, or ownership on itself, element verification and assessments. And then we also do joint venture certificates. Okay, so thank you, everybody. That is that from our side. If we have any questions, we'll take them at this point. Yes. Daniel, we have Daniel.
Yes, good morning, colleagues, and thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity and for the indulgence. I'm joining in from the Northern at the Department of Economic Development and Tourism. It's a provincial sector department in the province. My question is in relation to the verification processes But just to give an overview or to give context to that question, we have appointed a service provider as a department to conduct our verifications. And we realize that the processes are taking quite a long time. I just wanted to get an understanding how long or what is the general rule of thumb for the verification processes to be finalized, especially for a complex department like ours, where the department employs maybe more than 500 or 700 employees, just to get a sense of the reasonable time frame in which the verification processes are expected to have been finalized. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that question. Yes, so verification, we have different service providers, or whoever you've appointed as a service provider, they have their own policies of how long a verification should take. I can answer from Empowerlogic's point of view. So depending, our timeline is about 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the availability of the information. Yeah, so there's no set specification. It depends on what their methodology and their verification policy states. But it shouldn't be, again, depending on availability. So unfortunately, I can't answer for the service provider on how they, but you are welcome to also talk to us or contact us if you have any questions. We'll share our details with Philip if you have any questions that you want to take offline.
No problem. Definitely, I'll reach out to yourselves. Thank you so kindly, teacher.
Thank you. Okay, we have another question. Okay.
Hi. Yes. Hi. Good morning. I'm Makhaje. I'm from the BMF. I just wanted to ask, you mentioned that it's compulsory for government to be compliant, right? Is it not the JSE listed companies as well?
Yeah, so for the JSE listed companies, that is a license requirement. So they need to report as part of their listing requirement. They need to report to the BEE commissioner. So that's how the listed entities, it's compulsory for them to give reports. If they don't comply or adhere to that reporting and listing requirements from the published act, there's fines and penalties that they then need to pay.
Okay, thank you. So they obviously, because the verification happens every year, they have to give that information on an annual basis, right?
Yes, so BE verification works the same way as your financial audit. So it is an annual occurrence that needs to happen after financial year end, and the certificate expires after 12 months.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Tobile, Prebashini, I'm giving the rest to you. Tobile?
Yes, good morning. Thank you so much for the lovely presentation and thanks for the opportunity to ask. I'm Tobile from an EME, so I run a small company. My question is, you mentioned quite a lot about supplier development and employer development. My question is, I currently want to set up a training center for my staff. So I want to know if you offer the service where you sort of act as the middleman that connects the bigger multinationals that can possibly fund this on my behalf, or someone that I can work with in partnership to assist me, and I could get points and they similar, and vice versa. I hope I'm making sense. Thank you.
I think take that offline. Maybe you can contact us or contact Philip and then get our details.
Yeah, so at this point, we have to remain impartial.
Yeah.
So
So,
for verifications specifically, but yeah, we can do, as Prebashini's mentioned, we can take it offline.
Yeah, if I can just quickly jump in here from my side, Empowerlogic does not play the middleman role as we do the verification part, but that doesn't stop us from referring you to people that you can go and speak to, but completely by yourself and not facilitated by us, but we might be able to open 1 or 2 doors, and then you can go and take that further with the specific people that we refer you to. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. It's very clear. Thank you, 100%.
Yes, we have another question.
Yes, I just want to ask, you know, we are getting a lot of resistance. So every day on social media, we hear scrap BEE. And with all this information and knowledge, I mean, the scorecards don't even ask for 70 to 80% Black ownership or Black representation, as it should, because 80% of the population is Black. You know, it only requires like 25% ownership or 23%, or, you know, so why do you think there's so much resistance of the act itself?
I don't think it's something to be answered by us. But what I can say is that it's not in some instances it asks for when you are 51% Black owned and you're a QC or an EME. It allows you to be a level 2, and then 100% allows you to be a level 1. So there are 4 different industries, there are different targets in terms of ownership, but the BEE codes and the specific charters has been developed by the industry sector people, and they obviously aligned with the industry and had a lot of discussions with them, and they came up with the specific percentages. So there are resistance, but there are also a lot of companies, and we've been in this game for quite a while now. There are quite a lot of companies that have transformed and are busy transforming every day and every year. But you will always have some people who will resist. But in terms of the percentage-wise, it differs from industry to industry, and also from specific groupings, up from an EME to a QSE to a generic will be different.
Thank you.
From the business school side, I'd like to thank Empowerlogic for sharing their knowledge with us. And then as an added benefit, I've got some good news for everyone that's listening here. We are in the process of registering one of the, in my opinion, premier courses in BEE that will be presented by the business school in conjunction with Empowerlogic. So this is the reason for this webinar. It was to whet everyone's appetite for a course that I think is going to change South Africa for the better. And we will keep everyone up to date, send everyone updates as soon as the classes are scheduled or as soon as we start with classes. And then, then everyone can become an expert in BEE, or at least know a bit more and be able to bust some of the myths that currently exist regarding BEE. Then I'm assuming if anyone, does anyone else have a question, comments, anything? If not, then yeah, let's hear what everyone has to say. If you guys have any questions or comments.
Philip, from my side, I just want to thank the Free State Business School, Mr. Free State Business School, for setting this up. And yeah, I think it's something that should have happened a long time ago. And let's take hands and take this forward. Thank you so much.
Okay, then that
Thank
concludes
you.
this webinar. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely day, and then we'll let you know when the course starts. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thanks, Philip. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Bye.